You know those times you have an amazing idea and you think, I need to make a video about this. And you have the content flow in your head and you think about how you're going to say it, and it all seems perfect until you get in front of the camera. Now, the moment you get in front of the camera, you encounter something you didn't know that you had, and that is camera fright. We've all heard about stage fright and jitters on stage, but camera fright is something that's real that a lot of people are encountering as they get into the space of being influencers, video creators, vloggers, or even webinar hosts. So today, on this episode, we're going to go through 5 things that you can do in order to ease your fear in front of the camera. Let's get into it. Hey guys, Fahad Farouk here. So let's get into it straight away. Number 1, I don't feel like I need to say this, but I am going to, and that is preparation. Now, we've considered preparation to be only, do I know everything I'm going to talk about? So do I have all the intentions? But when it comes to video, we need to transfer this from just inside our head into the space of bullet notes. So I'm not asking you to come up with an entire script, because then you're just going to be reading off the script kind of like a newsreader. I'm also not asking you to by heart what you're going to say, then you're going to sound kind of automated and artificial. Instead, in your mind, you need to know the entire content flow. However, in order to prompt you to say what you need to say, you need to have little bullet points, probably on a post-it note. So for this session, as an example, my bullet point says intro and a slight dash to say these are the things I'm going to talk about in my intro. All I need to do is glance at it, and then I know that this is the topic or the area or the content that I'm going to talk about. It's the same. So it says point 1, preparation. Now, when I look at the bullet point in my head, because I'm familiar with the content, I know what I'm going to say. We need to spend more time preparing than time we spend on camera, because that's when you can refine it, you can go over it, you can come up with iterations that work for you, you can choose words that might bring your point across better. So number 1, before you get on camera, prepare all the things that you need to say. Number 2, your surroundings. Now, when we get on stage to speak, if you've done that before, you understand the scale, the people, the lights. So it's normal for someone to feel kind of jittery and nervous on stage. Now, when you're on camera, a whole bunch of self-consciousness kicks in, because you're not just talking to yourself, you're not talking at a mirror, you're looking at a screen. And sometimes we might ask a friend to come over to help us with the recording, and maybe that person starts to distract us, not by doing anything, but just by being there. And sometimes we might feel weird talking alone, so we might want an audience around us. Something about your surroundings are that you need to be conscious about it and tailor it according to whichever surrounding suits you. So if you have lots of distractions going around, then get to a space where those distractions are limited. If you're recording in your room and there are people outside, then put up a notice, tell them, hey, I'm going to be doing this, please don't disturb me for a while. If you kind of need an audience around you, then ask a friend to come along, maybe sit next to the camera, or sit in the corner of the room and give you some feedback, whichever you're comfortable with. The point I'm trying to make with number 2 is we need to be conscious and tailor make our surroundings according to what would work for our content plan, right? Number 3, nervous tics. When we're speaking, even though we may say things like, hey, and we speak, right? So, hey, what are you doing? That goes unnoticed in live day-to-day speech, but you put it on video where there are no distractions and someone's purely listening to you talk, even the slightest and ahs kind of get amplified on the video. Now, we're not really conscious about it because we're not thinking about our nervous tics and our filler words. We're trying to think about the content. And when we're thinking, that sort of sound of thinking, which is the and the ahs, come across unknown to us. So those are speech-based tics. Some of us have physical tics where we're constantly jittery, or where we're moving our hands about, or we're rapping on the table. We have physical tics that are happening subconsciously that we may not notice. So what can we do? And that is to be more conscious about what you're saying. And it helps. It's all tracked back to that preparation part, because if you know what you're going to say, then you don't need to waste too much time thinking about what you're going to say. And if you're not going to be thinking too much about what you're going to say, the need for filler words like ums and ahs while you ponder is obviously less. Let's get into number 4. Now, one of the things about video is that obviously it's not face-to-face. So we need to speak a little bit slower for a couple of reasons. Number one, our audience might not be as comfortable with the language we're using as we are. And maybe they would benefit from our content if we decide to speak a little bit slower. So apart from your regular conversational speed, one of the things we might need to do is to slow down our speed of speaking on video. Now, if we're kind of nervous about our content, what we tend to do is want to rush through it and finish it as soon as possible. Now, I don't need to tell you that the point is not to just make some video. The point is to get your intent across with some really good content. So if that is the case, it makes sense to speak as slow as you can, but not too slow that it's a boring drag, but slow enough to keep it interesting, but also ensure that everybody understands. Remember, speaking on video is not speaking face to face. And if someone doesn't understand, they're rarely going to rewind. They'll just assume that they understood what you said, and it might lead to miss the point, because it's not a conversation and people can't say, excuse me, I beg your pardon, what did you say? Did you say this? All of those things cannot happen. So you've got to slow down. The thing with slowing down is, if you're nervous on camera, your heart rate's high, your palms are sweaty, and you kind of want to get it through as soon as possible. But if you slow down your speech, it gives your system a little bit of time to adjust for being on camera. And being on camera is not something that we're used to. So that slowness to adjust would obviously help us benefit in order to create some really great content. Number 5, a relationship with the camera. Now, we need to treat the camera as a person, because on the other side, the viewer is a person, right? So if there's a person watching, we need that person to understand that we're speaking to them. And the best way to do it is to speak to the camera as if there's a person in front of you, as if the camera is a person. That's when that connectedness, that emotion, that whole vested interest comes in to what you're trying to say, right? So maintain a relationship with the camera, maintain that connection with the camera, and that will translate to how your audience relates to you when they watch your video. Those are 5, but I have one more bonus tip for you. But before I get into that, I have one important thing to tell you, and that is, if you get over the hump of the fear of being on camera and you really want to perfect your content, then I have a course that will really help you. It's available on Udemy or Skillshare. I'll put in the links in the description. This course is specifically tailor-made for online content creators, whether you're webinar hosts, bloggers, Facebook or Instagram content creators, or even social media personalities. It helps you to try and make your voice pop, to try and make your expressions more interactive, and to try and speak in a way that's more engaging by giving your content a lot more flavor. Check out the course. I'll post the promo to the course as well. Now, let's get into our bonus tip to get over your fear of being on camera. You've heard this word, right? Retake. All major movie directors do it. Why shouldn't you? We're so used to the idea that it's just going to be one take. If it's not perfect the first time, then oh my God, I can't do it again. This is so tiring. But that's the thing about content, right? We're not perfect. We're not going to have it in one go. Have as many takes as you need, because you will understand from the preparation stage up until the recording stage, in the iterations that come across, you might say things, you might add things that would really add value to your content. So one of the things that you need to learn to do, to take as many recordings or versions as you need, and you can cut and paste and mix and match and put it into all the places you want to, in order to ensure that the content you generate is of the highest quality. So bonus tip, don't be afraid to take as many retakes as you want. There are transitions in video editing softwares. You can cut things in, you can put things out. It's perfect. So don't strive for that one take perfection. If you do it, that's great. But in reality, there are easier ways. Make as many mistakes as you want and keep going until you get that version that you're comfortable with. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so this has been a little video on how to get over the fear of being on camera. If you find this interesting, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. We'll have more videos like this coming up. Thank you very much and stay safe.